Hey, what's up guys, welcome to another video. Today I bring you 10 tips for the beginning of your journey in FORSPOKEN. So let's get started with it. Tip number 1 is gonna be in the options menu. Once in the option menu, on the gameplay balance, these options are more of a preference. There's nothing here that will help your gameplay per se. But what we need is go to the control settings. And there's an option here that a lot of people get confused. This says left and right stick sensitivity, and this option right here, what it changes is how much of movement on your stick you have to do before the game actually reads that input. If you want to get the less input lag on the game, you need to put this on as high as possible, which is 2. Now, if you want to change the speed on what the camera moves around, that's gonna be the rotation speed. So keep that in mind. If you wanna play with this, I keep it bottom high. That's just preference. Camera shake, I will turn it off. It makes everything look a little bit more weird when you're moving around a lot. And wire control vibration, turn it off. That's just preference. And trigger effect intensity. This is for the trigger buttons on your controller. That makes them either harder or more softer to press once you're using the spells or something like that. I personally keep it off because later in the game, when you get more spells and you start fighting bigger groups of enemies, this actually for me gets tiring on my fingers. But again, that's just preference. Display settings. Right now I'm playing on quality mode, but that's just preference. I'd recommend to actually play on performance, since it will give you the most amount of FPS possible in this game, and it will just make it easier to check on the enemies when you're moving around fast. The rest is just preference. I would say adjust your brightness. The games can be pretty dark on occasions. You might want to play with that a little bit. Motion blur off. That's against preference. That's actually makes me feel like I'm getting sick or something. Sound settings, I didn't play with this at all, except for the wireless controller voice playback. This makes cough to speak through the controller instead, but since I was wearing headphones, I'm not using this at all, so I turn it off. On the wireless controller settings, I have this on default. I usually use the controller layout. I didn't find it like any difficult to get used to it, but just keep in mind you can just come in here and adjust the buttons. You can adjust. Some of them are gonna be blocked. They won't let you move them from that setting, like the search magic. Now I think the most important stuff is on the accessibility settings. You want it on the automatic item gathering. So when you're running around and picking up, let's say items for crafting or items that are dropped by enemies, you want to keep this on so you have to go one by one and press triangle to pick each one of them. Automatic lock picking, this is for some of the chests in this game has a puzzle you have to solve. This will make them always be open as soon as you press the interaction button for that. Item visibility. I use enhanced visibility, so once you are around the world picking up items from the floor, mostly like crafting items or to make heals, they are gonna shine. So you see here, they start shining as once they get close to you, or more like you get close to them. Map icon size is standard. This is for the in menu map. The highlight nearby characters is the same thing as the item visibility, but for enemies and other NPCs that are on the main city area. I personally turn this off. It can get a little confusing for how bright they get. For the spell switching menu, I put it on hold. Since if you just toggle, you're gonna have to press the switching menu, which is R1 or L1, and then you have to press it again to get out of that menu. I wouldn't recommend that. It's a little inconvenient. Magic parkour sprinting is on default. Leap sword controls on default as well. These are abilities that you get later on, and one of them at the beginning, the other one is later on in the game as you find more magic spells. The sprint button is not actually the magic parkour. This is just regular sprinting. Or cuffs compass. This I will keep it on. This will let you know if you use your cuff scan. Will let you know where your main story point is, in what direction is it. Pretty much like a guide. Same for the visibility. It just lets you see more clear on the screen. Cuff chat frequency. This is preference. I keep this on low. Hot size, small. Position default is on the bottom left. Battle ranking info display. I put this on basic. If you put it on full, it will give you pretty much a breakdown of how many points are you getting for the spells that you're doing during battle. And this can get a little busy on the screen, so just keep on basics. Just keep a track what are my scores at, but not really that important. You can even turn it off if you want to. Spellcraft's challenge display. This for later in the game, you get the chance to upgrade your spells through challenges. You have to complete, let's say you have to do a certain amount of damage or kill enemies in certain way. This will let you know every time you do it, will pop on the screen on the left side how much of that challenge you have done and how much you have left to do. I keep this off. You can see this from the magic menu anyway. Attacking display. This is for when the enemies are attacking you with their piercing attacks, which has a purple X, or their red attacks, which you cannot block. If you turn it off, then this won't show, and that will be for the options. So now we can go to tip number 2, which will be what skill to prioritize first. And there is a lot of skills or spells in this game. You have a lot to choose, and the more later in the story you are, the more spells you can have available. So this is only for the very beginning. If you guys want, just let me know in the comment section. I will make another video for the other types of magic that you get later in the game. And you're gonna have a set of skills already with your character. So I'm gonna switch to earlier save to show you what are the spells look like. So these are the spells you're gonna have from the beginning. So all these are given to you by default once you start running or roaming around the world. So I would say to prioritize first, it will be your attack spells, especially the burst shot. This will be pretty much the strongest spell you have on this tree when it comes to damage. So you can do pretty much burst shot level 2 and 3 first, and then you can do, I would recommend to go on this tree on this side up, so you can get leech and screen. Leech pretty much is a spell that will cure your poison, and screen is a defensive spell which would give you a chance of 2 hits to be given without doing as much damage. From there you can use Tendril, which is another support spell. Pretty much what it does is it will heal a certain amount of HP for an amount of damage you do to an enemy. So you want to use this mostly when you are surrounded by a lot of enemies and you are kind of low on health, so that way you can receive even more HP back from all those hits. Also on this tree you want to focus on your search magic, which is like a special attack pretty much. These are quite expensive, so you take your time with this tree, but what I'm saying to focus on this as well is because we want this skill right here, which is Vivify. This will allow you to craft, well, not to craft, but to actually increase your stats on your necklaces even higher than what you can. But that's a really good investment right there. And after that, the rest is just more like preference to see if you like using a scatter shot because it's a more like long range spell magic, then you do that. But always make sure you get any attack that you're focusing at the beginning. They will scatter shot or burst shot. You make sure you get them to the last level. That will help out a lot, and it does way more damage than their base form. Now there's another attack spell which is the shield shot, but it's more like a counter attack spell. If that's your playstyle, well, be it. But I actually don't use this much. Actually, I have never used it as much. I never found it like necessary to use it. But there is another skill right here on the bottom that is necessary, and this is modified. So this will let you craft certain kind of rocks that you use to craft items or to use them to upgrade your gear as well. So that will be useful, mostly like later in the game. At the beginning, not too much. And well, that's what I have for the tip number 2. So let's move to tip number 3. And we're gonna see on the same screen because tip number 3 is after chapter 4. You get to unlock the spellcraft challenges I was talking about. You can upgrade higher your spells. So for example, for this spell right here, which is the main ones called shot, is the main attack pretty much, so you can spam no matter what. Once you use the challenge, it will once you complete it, it will let you it will give you more damage to that attack, as well more points to your magic, which in this case is purple magic. And these are challenges for every single spell. All of them is gonna have a challenge. They all are different, but just keep that in mind. You can carry up to 3 challenges at the same time. It doesn't matter if this purple magic or red magic or blue magic. Doesn't matter what kind it is, you can only carry 3 of them at the same time. For those challenges, I will prioritize movement, because for flow and shimmy, which is locked right here, once you upgrade them, they will let you use them without spending stamina. So that's really helpful right there, especially when you're fighting bigger enemies or fighting bosses, or even fighting like big groups of enemies. Being able to move around them and not waste stamina is really helpful. So I will focus on these 3 like at the beginning, which shimmy, flow, and then leap. From there you can focus either on support spells if that's what you like to use most, and of course you gotta focus on your attack spells, like I say, to make them do more damage. For tip number 4, enemy weaknesses. Every enemy in the game is weak to one or different kind of magics, so make sure to always do a scan if you don't know, you're not sure what those enemies are weak to. Once you press arrow up, they will do a cuff scan, and then press it again to enter on a precise scan mode, which is let you know which magic they are weak to. Some enemies like the break zombie, since this is one of the weakest enemies, it won't show you what they are weak to. That is like naturally weak to every single other magic that is in the game. There is also a whole enemy section on the archive tab. So over here you will see all the enemies you have fought so far. Also, if you click on them, you can see what magic they're weak to, where are their max health they can have, and how much damage do they do. Also, what items do they drop and where do they spawn as well, for the most part. Tip number 5 is do not miss out on the dungeons. On this game they're called locked labyrinths. Most of them, they have either new necklaces or cloaks or even nail designs for you to use. So at the beginning of the game you don't want to go through the grinding of finding all the items necessary to upgrade the ones you have. You just run through this. You're gonna have to go through a series of rooms with different amount of enemies, and at the end, main boss you have to fight before you get the item that is being given by that dungeon. There's plenty of this on the game. They're all over the place. So if they're on your way, just make sure you are taking the time to complete this for these items. Tip number 6, don't miss out on the monuments. These, for the most part, give you upgrades either to your strength, defense, magics, or even how strong the heals are. How much they're gonna heal your HP bar. So if you have it on your way, just make sure you make some time to sub one of these. What you have to do is shoot this stuff right around them, and they will be unlocked from there for you to grab whatever they might give you. Tip number 7 will be the Phantom's Blessing. These Phantom Blessings will give you hidden locked spells. At the beginning of the game, on the magic section, you will have some of these spells locked, and they're gonna have an interrogation mark. These are the spells that you will need to find these Phantom Blessings to unlock them. Usually, if you read the description, they will show you where in the map they are. So if you want every single spell available to you, just make sure to stop on one of these. Also, some of them have really useful spells for movement. Some of them are support spells, some that they have attack spells. So just make sure you stop in each one of them, just to make sure to grab that extra spell that might be helpful at the moment, might be not, but you know, it's better to have it. Also, you can notice what they look like on the map by this icon right here. This is what the icon for every phantom looks like, and it will show you what area, what location is at. Just make sure to stop one of those, don't skip on them. Tip number 8 will be crafting and upgrades. So when it comes to crafting, always check on your save house. Of course, crafting heals, always carry them full. Also, you can check here to increase your medicine pouch capacity, also your materials capacity. So always check on this here and there, time to time, to see if you can upgrade it. It never hurts to carry more of stuff. Also, you can check for some of the, like I said before, the rocks that you use to upgrade your cloaks or necklaces, as well to craft your nails. In this section as well, if you're missing an item, they're gonna show grayed out, so you can press triangle. It will show you the material you need, where they are dropped, if they're dropped by enemies, or where they can be found on the map, or if they're only found in chests. So make sure just to check this out, keep this in mind. Also, you can go back to the enemy tab section that I was talking before and check where are these enemies and where they do spawn. It's just sending for the upgrades. If you wanna grind the game and pretty much you can use your starter cloak and then start upgrading all the stats from 0 pretty much, you can do that. You can finish the game with the starter cloak. It will go all the way up to the highest level you can possibly. That is you want, of course. Anyways, you will find more cloaks throughout the map that will have better stats from the scratch. You might want to wait those materials until you find those cloaks or necklaces, or even nails as well. Oh, only cloaks and necklaces. You cannot upgrade nails or anything like that. Also, you can add different perks to this besides the stats they have already. You can always change this right here, or simply take them off or add more to them. The max you can have is 4, but that's not a skill that you need to upgrade on your magic tree. And with this comes tip number 9, which is the nails. The nails are like the cloak and the necklaces, but they have a set of perks that you cannot change. But there are many of them you can mix and match to your playstyle, either to do more damage or have more defense or a higher chance of critical damage. As well, it's a lot of them, so make sure you stop in every location to see what they offer. I would say one of the best nails you can use is the ones I'm using right now, which is the Spectrum nails. They give you a critical hit rate based on how many spells you have learned, so the more spells you have, the higher the chance you have for learning a critical. So right now I have pretty much every single spell in the game, and every single hit that I do is a critical, as long as I'm hitting the enemy with their weakness magic. Right guys, last tip and most obvious is these blue pillars of light that are called mana pools. Just make sure to grab every single one of these as you go through every single area. These are the ones that give you the points to be able to unlock new spells, and they are all over the place, so make sure to pass through every single one of them. Don't think that's gonna be a waste of time. You will need them if you want to unlock every single spell that is available on any tree or any magic tree. And well guys, that's all I have for you today. Hope that you found this helpful. If you do so, please leave a like. If you don't like it, please leave a dislike, whatever it is that pleases you. And let me know in the comment section if you need help with anything else. I'll see you guys next time.